My entire family is racially diverse, and I believe the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research. I watched all the rallies, and I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters. I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love. And that's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong. So I let go of my fear of judgment, of being misunderstood, of getting attacked by the left, and I put the red hat on too. Thank you. Love you too. I never felt more free and more love for my country than I do now. I want to thank my father, who's in the audience tonight, for opening my eyes. He served over 20 years in the U.S. military. Thank you for your service, Dad. I love you, Dad. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you. When I met the President and Melania for the first time, he was kind and generous and funny as hell. Very funny. The First Lady was gracious and smart with a smile that will brighten up any room. If you're watching this tonight, you know our country is in trouble. Just like me. When you go to the store and buy food for your family, you're shocked. When you fill up your gas tank, you're pissed. I know I am.
Yes, Amber Rose sent this out recently. Hi, Joy Reem. I have never said I wasn't black. I said I identify as biracial. I'm not going to invalidate my white father to make you feel more comfortable. Stop being a race baiter. Your president does enough race baiting for all of us. Hmm? Joy is one of the most fair human beings on earth. She's just mad. She can't rock the bar look like you. I've seen a lot of people, especially black men, trying to demonize this lady simply because she stood up and campaigned for Trump. A lot of people are crazy, even in the Republican Party, trying to say ridiculous things about her. I don't care about her past or what she is putting out on social media. That is her concern. Elections are coming up and people are more focused on it. I believe that should be your focus. This lady has a lot of following on social media. If she captures just 5% of these people, that is enough to change the situation. So people standing up to say, oh, she should not, she's a,
Member of Congress, who was a Republican, came out immediately and blamed the incident on DEI and said that the fact that there were women and black people in the Secret Service is the reason this happened. That is a member of Congress who went out on the TV and said to the world that DEI was the cause of an assassination attempt. This is where the Republican Party is. So it's ironic that they were able to recruit this young woman who, she's a racially ambiguous. I don't want to say she's black because she has said she's not. So I don't want to say this woman who is of whatever race that she has claimed. She said she's not black. But they've brought somebody whose whole career is based in black culture. She used to be on a show on BET. That's the reason most people know who she is. She dated one of the most prominent African-American rappers in the business in the history of hip-hop. So her whole culture came from black culture, even though she says she's not a black person herself. And the fact that she is now the person they're using to try to recruit young people of color and to say that this is the person who is the endorser of Donald Trump who you should trust. trust. When she won't even claim the culture that brought her to the table, I'm dubious that this will work. I don't know anyone who takes their political cues from Amber Rose, but just in case you do, you might want to duplicate doing your own research because she might not have done it thoroughly.
If Amber Rose stood up to campaign for Biden, Joy Reid will appreciate her to a level I can't even say. Now, because she took a decision to go for Trump, you will see some kind of ridiculous things, coming out about her. Look at Joy Reid. I know her. She's a race baiter. She cannot make a sentence without including race in everything.
The left told me to hate Trump, but when you cut through the lies, you'll realize that life was better under him. That's a resonant argument for a lot of people. Now, of course, you have to discount the fact that there was a 100-year pandemic and everything that resulted from that. But if you clip that and put it on Instagram among, the people that follow her, that could pick up a lot of traction. That resonates with folks.
Well, sure. And, I would love to ask her, what lies? Like, it's one thing you can say when I cut through the lies. What lies are those? And then please tell me, how do you counter those lies you're talking about with the actual data that's there? We can talk about the emotions because economics are emotional. And if people don't feel it, I get it.
In fairness, the left has vilified Donald Trump.
I'm sorry, define vilified.
You can argue the merits, but in fairness, the left has vilified Donald Trump. Threat to democracy, that he's a...
Is that a vilification or
he's
an
a proto-fascist?
Is that a vilification? And I don't mean to argue with you, Jeff, but I disagree with this notion that the left has vilified Donald Trump. The left has pointed out multiple things he has done.
Look at this man. He cannot accept the truth. They have done it over and over, and when they realized that the temperatures were too high, Biden came in and said, oh, let's lower the temperature, without actually even trying to pinpoint what they have been doing in the past. If you realize recently, the way I was looking at things, it was reaching that point where someone can just say any kind of thing about Trump just to pass a point. That is not politics. Democrats in fact, they have been doing it for a very long time, but it became intensified within the last 3 months. When this man is standing here to say, oh, define verify, it is insane. It is something that we have seen, and it's still happening, though it has reduced within the space of 4 days. When I observe on social media, they are now just turning around. They don't really do it like they used to do before, simply because of what happened to Trump. If this man still continues to say, oh, it's because they're pointing out what Trump used to do, this. Out of 100 things these people can put out about Trump, if you look deep, 3 might not even be correct. Yeah. They are freaking out here simply because Amber Rose, which I understand, they are panicking. Some say she is too dangerous,
I looked it up, and then I called a friend of mine, and I said, do you know who this is? And they didn't know. Also a political person. But that's the point. They have put someone on the stage who reaches into this whole group of Americans who are not necessarily engaged at all in our politics or in our civics.
She's describing the experience that a lot of people have, feeling that maybe if you're around too many liberals, you might get criticized too much, or you might not be able to speak your mind. And she spoke to it really well. And she's way more famous than any of us up here. Yeah. I'm going to tell you that, way more famous. And so to the extent that these guys are trying to bust up our coalition, that was a bunker buster right there.
By the way, and it's one of the things we've been talking about, but there are speakers who speak to the room, and there are speakers who speak through the television screen. She speaks through the camera to the audience at home, she's effective in the room, but when you're yelling into the room, that is not communicating directly through the lens.
This person is super talented. Okay, like this person knows how to speak plainly and directly, knows how to use the camera, the cadence of it. They got something there.
Yeah, and it really is hard. In those big arenas, it's hard not to want to fill up the room. You want to scream and make sure the grandma in the back can hear you. But you're not talking to the 30,000 people there. You're talking to the 30 million people at home. And she was the most effective.
You know, that's for after President Trump wins. That's the real goal is
The law school. He's going to be in there making a whole bunch of.
I thought she was fantastic for years. Or less comfortable with a possible.
So a lot of people ask.
We, as Trump started.
And finally, new rules.
If you looked at the moment that you heard that